Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Stott and I'm the Emperor of Stomaria. Today I want to talk about the ways in which someone can support Stomaria. So this is a question that I get quite a lot. Someone will email us or message us and they'll say, I've been following you for a while, I love what you stand for, but how can I get involved? Now this answer might be relatively obvious to some, but there are limitations, there are some restrictions based on someone's age, the place in which they reside, their skill set, their interests, and more besides. So in this video, I just want to quickly go over 3 of the simplest ways in which someone that does support what Stomaria is trying to do can get involved and actually help us to achieve our goals. So the simplest and most impactful way that someone can support Stomaria is by becoming a Stomarian citizen. It takes less than 60 seconds to do so, and it costs very, very little. In fact, it very much depends on how much each individual wishes to contribute to Stomaria, because the way in which you become a Stomarian citizen is by making a financial contribution to Stomaria itself. Now, this might be a one-time contribution of as little as £1, or it might be something more substantial and something more regular. It's up to the individual to decide how much they want to contribute to Stomaria, how much they want us to succeed in achieving our goals through these sorts of financial contributions. Now, this is because we believe in voluntary taxation. We believe more broadly in protecting and preserving the natural rights of the individual, and voluntary taxation is a part of that. It is about not enforcing taxation. It's about not forcing people to contribute more than they wish to contribute. Now, the reason that we have an initial financial contribution as a requirement of any amount is because it allows us to verify who these people are. Because people are making financial contributions through a third party, it helps us to determine what the individual's name is, where they live, what their age is, because there's obviously restrictions in terms of who can actually use these third parties. And it just gives us a little bit more security, a little bit more clarity in terms of verifying who each of these individuals actually are. Now, beyond this, it also means that every Stomarian citizen will have contributed something to the wider Stomarian community. Even if it is just a single one-time contribution of £1, it's still value that's added to Stomaria itself. And this can be used to advance our values and objectives. Now, most of our citizens do contribute a lot more than the minimum threshold, and they do so a lot more regularly. A lot of our citizens actually contribute monthly to Stomaria, and we're very appreciative of those contributions, but it is not necessary to do so in order to become a Stomarian citizen. Some Stomarian citizens, they might pay £1 initially, and then after 3 or 6 months, they might make the occasional £5, £10, £20 donation or whatever else. Now, this again is not mandatory, it's not necessary to do so, but becoming a Stomarian citizen is nevertheless the most obvious, most impactful, and the simplest way to support us, to get behind us. Now, at the time of making this video, we have a little under 50 citizens to our name. However, I am quite confident over the next year or so, certainly towards the end of 2025 at the latest, we will be pushing the 100 citizen mark. And if you want to help us to reach that goal, then do join up and actually help us to achieve that threshold. Now, while there are no initial benefits to actually becoming a Stomarian citizen other than a show of support for Stomaria itself, it does nevertheless open the doors to opportunities in terms of getting more heavily involved within Stomaria. That is to say, Stomarian citizens will be able to become, if they so wish, involved in the actual development and expansion of Stomarian territory. They might become governors of Stomarian territory. They might come to the land and actually work on it. They might eventually come to reside on it, though I should stress that Stomarian citizens don't have an automatic right to residency. And if they are dedicated enough to Stomaria, and they show that they are dedicated to Stomaria in a way that we can see, in a way that we can quantify, in a way that we can verify, then they will be likely appointed as lords and ladies of Stomaria. Now, lords and ladies of Stomaria as the Stomarian nobility, as a part of the elite, the creme de la creme of the citizenry, these are the individuals that we look to appoint to various high-profile positions within Stomaria that does require a certain level of commitment. And this would obviously be positions like a governor. Now, governors of territories, obviously, as the name suggests, are responsible for administering and managing the actual land. Depending on where that land is, we will look to purchase land where prospective governors, where lords and ladies actually reside, so that they can actually use it for their own benefit and for the benefit of the wider Stomarian community, because that is how Stomaria is structured, and that's how it's going to be developing and expanding going forward. Now, some Stomarian citizens, particularly lords and ladies, will go one step further, and they will actually look to purchase land in joint purchase agreements alongside the imperial family in order to more rapidly expand Stomaria's territorial holdings, as well as making sure that they have some skin in the game. Now, this is all obviously a lot more advanced, a lot more up there in terms of involvement. If someone is looking to become a Stomarian citizen and just want to play a minor role within Stomaria, then obviously attending gatherings and helping to develop the land, even if you don't have a stake in that land itself, is a great way to do something for the wider Stomarian community. But beyond that, you might have other interests or aspirations. For instance, we have the Imperial Guard. Now, this is a policing and security body within Stomaria, but it's been on the back burner for some years because it's just not been necessary to actually utilize it in any serious way. The pool of people, the pool of potential candidates that could become Imperial Guardsmen is quite limited because we are limited to certain individuals in terms of their age, in terms of where they reside, in terms of their availability, in terms of the time. And all of this sort of limits the pool of people that can actually become members of the Imperial Guard. Because, you know, their primary function is ceremonial, but it's also for stewards, for public events and that sort of thing. But because the public events that we have had in the past have been relatively low-key, numbering in the dozens at absolute mess, it's not necessary, or it hasn't been necessary, to focus too much attention on the Imperial Guard. But next year, we are hoping to invest some more funds into the actual development of the Imperial Guard and going on a small recruitment campaign to actually have these individuals join Stomaria and don the uniform of the Imperial Guard and play a functioning, active role within the Empire. Now, going beyond that, we want to make sure that all of the citizens have the opportunity to play a part in Stomaria, even if becoming a formal Imperial Guardsman or governor or having another position within Stomaria is not for them. So if they have a particular skill set or interest that they think can be of use to Stomaria, and I'm sure there are dozens of ways that those skill sets can be put to use within Stomaria, then do get in touch and let us know. Let us know what you want to do within Stomaria, and we can try to work around that. We can try to involve you in the way that interests you. And for that to happen, literally all that needs to happen is for citizens to contact us, say they want to get involved, and say this is how they wish to get involved. It's not really any more complicated than that. But as I say, when it comes to attaining a formal position within Stomaria, we are going to be looking for people going forward to actually fill these positions, because I am building a team of Stomarians over the course of the next year or so in advance of the next round of land purchases, in order to make sure that I have a team of people around me that are committed to pushing this forward. And finally, a great way to actually raise awareness of Stomaria, to support Stomaria, is simply by liking our content, by commenting on our content, by sharing our content, by raising awareness of Stomaria to an even greater audience. Because ultimately, if you are watching this, there's a very good chance that you came across Stomaria through social media. And if you have come across Stomaria through social media and you have gotten behind us, think of how many more people are out there waiting in the wings who are not aware of Stomaria, but if they were, would get behind us and would get involved. Because you should not be confused into thinking that the number of subscribers or likes or followers or comments or whatever else you have on social media is a win in its own right. It is great to have. It's a very useful tool, but only insofar as if we can translate all of that support online and turn it into something tangible, turn it into something real. Now, with our YouTube channel, for instance, it's monetized. So for every view that we get, every like that we get, every comment that we get, every share that we get, we are actually being paid by YouTube to actually have this kind of content, and raising awareness of Stomaria through that means is great. And likewise with Facebook, that is also monetized. Our Facebook page is monetized and we get paid for the content that we put out on there. However, that is not really even what I'm talking about. What I really want to have is more people made aware of Stomaria so they can actually get involved, to actually become citizens and then go on to become involved in Stomaria in a more formal capacity, as I discussed earlier in this video. That is the ultimate goal, to translate social media followings and social media support into real world activists. And that is ultimately what matters. Getting out there, boots on the ground, and actually making a difference. Taking our own little corner of the world and turning it into something that we can appreciate and that we can actually admire, to the point that we want to actually fight to preserve what we have, to be proud of what we have built. And ultimately, this is what Stomaria is about. It is about establishing a real world community with shared values and aspirations. It's about attaining greater levels of self-reliance, greater levels of self-determination, and building a better future for our children. This is a generational project. This is a generational nation-building experience. And so it's so important that as many people as possible are not only made aware of Stomaria, but are actively involved in Stomaria to help to bring all of this about. This is a community-building project. This is a nation-building project. We want to change our little corner of the world, and we can only do that if we come together and actually make it happen. So if you are interested in supporting Stomaria, if you are interested in building something that is, as I say, generational, then please get involved by becoming a citizen, applying for a certain position or role within Stomaria, or offering your services in some form or another, and let's change our little corner of the world for the better. If you want to learn more about Stomaria or play an active role in our development and expansion, visit our website at www.stomaria.com and find out what it means to be a Stomarian.